Yeah.
Don't work with many native Dallasites.
Yeah.
Everybody you work with is from heaven knows where. So whenever you're ready, you just tell me.
Just give me about 15 or 20 seconds of conversation. So
Okay.
set the audio.
All right, I'll be talking in about this level with Horton Foote and talking about a trip to Bountiful.
Yeah, just a little bit of audio from this.
Should I talk? Yes, okay. Ask me any questions you want to, and I'll try to answer them.
Bobbie?
Okay. We're commencing to begin.
Commencing to begin? Okay.
I had a floor director who always said, we are commencing to begin. Okay. So we'll need.
Right, just a bit. There you go.
Okay. All right.
I'm rolling.
All right. Well, Horton, it's nice to see you again.
Thank you.
I always look forward to talking with you, and I certainly am looking forward to a trip to Bountiful, the big premiere tonight. But I've read and heard so much about it, Horton, and you have to be terribly excited about the way this film is being accepted. Did you, going into it, did you have a feeling that perhaps once people, you know, saw it, that they would get excited, or did you just not try to think about that?
Well, I really don't think you try to think about that. I think you think, you know, I was very pleased with the circumstances around the film. I was very pleased to be working with Pete Masterson and his wife Carlin, and of course Geraldine Page and Sterling, and all the elements were very harmonious and nice elements, and so you're grateful for that, and then if other people like it, then that's terrific too.
Tell me the genesis of A Trip to Bountiful. You wrote it originally as a play, right?
Well, first of all, it was written, was done on Philco Goodyear Playhouse, 1953, and with Lillian Gish, who was extraordinary in it. And then the next year it was done as a play by the Theatre Guild and Fred Coe, and again with Lillian Gish, and Eva Marie Saint made her debut in it, and Joe Van Fleet. And then it had an off-Broadway production, which Adrian Hall directed, and which Pete saw. That was where he first saw it, when he first came to New York. It was done in London by Alan Schneider. So it's been done around, you know. It's been off and on through the years, and I've had offers about it, but never really felt right about having it done as a film until Pete called me, and we decided that we knew who should play Mrs. Watts, who was Geraldine.
Yes, Geraldine Page. Okay. Of course, Geraldine Page, had she ever seen it before? Did she?
Yes, she had. She'd seen the original production on Broadway with Lillian Gish. And I believe that she was in London doing Rainmaker at the time it was done there, and I believe she saw that production, although I'm not sure about that.
Her performance is just overwhelming. People and the
is.
critics have just really jumped on the bandwagon for her. They're even saying Academy Award nomination, perhaps Academy Award.
Well, I think she deserves it. I really do, and I rarely say that because I don't want to jinx anything, but I really do think she deserves it.
Yes, and as an Oscar winner yourself, you have a right to say that,
Well,
I think.
I think it's a pretty sensational performance.
Do you think her chances of winning are quite good?
You don't know about that. I mean, I think certainly she'll get a nomination, and it's just how other people perceive it. And you know, it is voted by the industry, and you know, there's a lot of, I think people are very independent about their Oscar voting, and I have a hunch she has a very good chance, but you know, that's just a hunch.
Don't you think, though, that the New York contingent tends to band together a little bit, and Geraldine being New York, don't you think that'll help?
Well, on the contrary, supposedly it's not so good because the Hollywood contingent then bands against the New York contingent. But I've never found it that way because I'm a member of the New York contingent, and they've voted for me twice. And so she's had 7 or 8 nominations, you know. And this would be her ninth, or her eighth or her ninth nomination. So surely it's time now for her to win.
Who do you think would be her stiffest competition?
Well, I would think that by all odds that from what one hears, it probably Whoopi Goldberg or, well, I don't know who else really. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure that Meryl Streep in Out of Africa will give her the run for her money. Yeah.
Well, the nominations come out February 5th. We'll
Yes,
know
they
then.
do.
And
I know how I'm going to vote.
Good. Getting back to Bountiful, is this in some sense biographical and even autobiographical?
Well, not autobiographical, biographical in the sense that women like Mrs. Watts have been, I've known them, have been actually members of my family, you know. I mean, parts of them. I've made a composite, really, of different women that I'm related to or I've known or observed. And all my plays come out of my experience, and you know, mostly out of my Texas experience.
And Bountiful is a fictitious place.
That's right. Although I found out much later there is another Bountiful, but it's in Utah.
But it just, the name is wonderful. How did it come to you, that name?
Well, you know, I don't know. How do ideas for plays come to you? You know, they just suddenly appear, and there they are, and you say thank you very much, and then you use that. You don't know where they come from.
Are you trying in this play, now this movie, A Trip to Bountiful, are you trying to say anything in particular about older people and growing older?
Well, I don't really often think of it as a play about older people, really, so much as I think of it as a play about people and their capacity to survive and the enormous grace they bring to what are really often very difficult circumstances of life. And I found that, you know, I find that in old people, young people, all kinds of people.
As a screenplay, did you alter anything drastically from the original?
Not really. Not really. We were able, of course, to really take a trip, which we weren't in the theater or in early television. We couldn't do that because I think we were allowed 4 sets and all. But and you know, there were some additions, some things that I hope were improvements. But basically, the essence of the work is the same.
And does Miss Page's performance differ a great deal from Lillian Gish's?
Well, in the sense that two enormously talented and gifted actresses are different. Yes, it does. And both have enormous validity, I think. And Miss Gish was frailer at times, although at times she had enormous strength too. And Geraldine encompasses an enormous sense of humanity and great humor and great passion.
Okay. All of this, or a great deal of this, was shot in Waxahachie.
And in the environs, and also, but the first act was shot out at Las Colinas in the studio.
Okay, so we have Las Colinas, we have Waxahachie, and it's
the environs, really,
yes,
of Waxahachie, and Venus. We mustn't leave out Venus.
Oh, okay. Very good. And it was, most of your films are a very modest budget. What was the budget on this one?
Well, we're heading towards $3 million, which is not as modest as my others.
That's right. Some have been 1 million, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, 1.6.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else, Horton, that you'd like to have a chance to say about A Trip to Bountiful?
Well, just that I'm very moved by it. You know, and think the work of the director is extraordinary and the actors, and I hope everybody will go to see it and like it as much as I do. And
you're also at the moment Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day is opening in the festival at Utah. It's the USA Festival there, Salt Lake City. It's in competition. Bountiful opened the festival, but was not in competition. And on Valentine's Day, which again we did literally in Waxahachie, and it will be out in the theaters in early March.
So you have so much going on. And what is this I hear about you're taking a trip to China?
Oh, well, I think so. They're going to get me over there. I'm a very reluctant visitor to China, but because I've got so many things to do here. I'd love to go, but not quite now. But I'm working on a film about China, so it looks like I'm going to go.
So you don't want to talk too much about that?
No,
maybe?
I don't mind. It's with a film with Alan Pakula, who I've worked with twice before on Mockingbird and Baby the Rain Must Fall, and he's directing it. And it will be a very different kind of film than these Texas-based films, much larger budget. And I'm writing the screenplay, trying to get it ready for us.
Horton, what does it mean to you at this point in time for you to be so busy, one project after another, and all this fame and, if I may say, adulation coming your way? What does that mean to you?
Oh, I don't know. Of course, I'm grateful for it, and sometimes pinch myself and say, who are they talking about? I just hope I can keep on working. I've worked hard all my life and intend to, and I'm glad that people are welcoming it now, but if they didn't, I'd still work.
Okay. Horton, thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Such a joy
much.
to talk with you.
Thank
Just
you.
stay right where you are. Your hometown again is...
It's Horton.
Horton.
What makes you think Whoopi's going to be?
I
Earlier,
just
and
think
I
she's
told him you were being
receiving
interviewed, and he said he
Yeah.
knew that there were people,
I
you know,
just think, and
but
from
he
the
said
momentum that I,
they
you know...
would love to have
I know you're
being
doing
around-
that a lot.
but
Yeah,
take you out to
being
dinner,
around
but
the,
you
film
you know,
people,
you
and
have
there's a
dinner.
lot of...
Oh.
That's just kind of the way I feel.
Well, it's going to be a big sympathy vote, I think, for that reason, I think. I don't
think
know.
so.
I
This
don't know.
is like one of the most difficult ones to
But
call.
see, the other thing about Whoopi is that the Academy, I think sometimes it has a little bit of a guilt complex.
I agree.
That they don't have more
Minorities.
black people
That's right.
and minorities to
That's right.
nominate and to vote for. Now here they have this gorgeous film,
Yeah.
and Whoopi is wonderful in it, and I feel that she could slide in with all of
Yeah.
that going for her.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I feel that Geraldine could also, because people say, my God, we've had her up 8 times.
And her
It's about
performance.
time
And her
we give
performance
this
is
lady-"
extraordinary.
Yes,
Yeah.
give this lady her just due.
Well, it's going to be a horse race, I'll tell you that.
When she was nominated last year for Pope of Greenwich Village, when I did all my predictions and my special and everything, I said, you know, if I were voting, I'd vote for Geraldine Page.
Well,
But
good
I
for you.
said,
I'm gonna tell her that.
I really don't think that she'll get it because it was too much of a cameo
Mhm,
role.
mhm.
But I said, I don't care if she was only on there for 2 full minutes.
She was extraordinary, wasn't she?
She was just the most dynamite thing about the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, I think so.
And, but then, of course, in my heart, I didn't feel they would give it to
Yeah,
her.
I think Carlin may get a nomination.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I think she.
Did you have any hesitancy at all about playing such an unsympathetic character? What was your challenge then in trying to play this woman that people could identify with or at least appreciate? Had you ever seen any of the other actresses play this role? Are there any ways at all that you personally identify with this character? What was it like acting opposite Geraldine Page? Rebecca De Mornay is not quite as experienced an actress as you and Geraldine Page. How did she cope with that? And now just some reactions. That should do it. Got it.